Tonight, something is happening in Germany that has never happened before in the entire history of BTS. Jimin, along with RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, V and Jungkook, is stepping onto a stage in Munich for the very first time. Not just Munich, Germany, period. In 13 years of BTS's existence, in 6 world tours, in hundreds of shows across dozens of countries, this is the first time the group has ever performed on German soil. And if you're an ARMY who has been following the Arirang World Tour city by city, you already know this moment has been building for months. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because today we're breaking down every single fact you need to know about Jimin and BTS's historic Munich concert. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this weekend matters so much. Let's start with the basics. BTS is performing 2 nights at the Allianz Arena in Munich, Saturday, July 11th and Sunday, July 12th, 2026, with both shows kicking off at 8 p.m. Here's the detail that makes ARMY's jaw drop every time it comes up. These 2 nights are the only concerts scheduled in all of Germany for the entire Arirang World Tour. Not 3 shows, not 4. 2 nights, 1 city, and that's it for the whole country. So if you're one of the fans who managed to get tickets, you are witnessing something that fans in the rest of Germany, and honestly across a huge part of Europe, will not get another chance to see on this leg of the tour. That scarcity is exactly why demand for these shows has been through the roof since tickets first went on sale. Now let's talk about why this tour and why now. If you've been living under a rock, here's the quick catch-up. After BTS released their album Proof back in 2022, the group went on a mandatory hiatus so the members could complete South Korea's compulsory military service, which every able-bodied Korean man has to go through. 4 years, ARMY waited, and speculation constantly swirled about whether the group would ever return the same way. But in the summer of 2025, Jimin and the rest of the members confirmed their reunion, and what followed has been nothing short of a phenomenon. On March 20th, 2026, BTS dropped their new studio album, Arirang, marking the group's full comeback, and shortly after, they launched the Arirang World Tour, which began on April 9th in Goyang, South Korea. Since then, the tour has ballooned into something historic. We're talking 88 shows, 34 cities, 23 countries, making it officially the largest K-pop world tour ever undertaken. If you want a number that really puts it in perspective, this tour recently broke a 7-year-old touring record previously held by the Rolling Stones, according to Billboard's box score reporting. Let that sink in for a second. A K-pop group is out here breaking records that legendary rock acts held for the better part of a decade. And Jimin has been at the center of that story every single night. So why Munich specifically? And why the Allianz Arena? Here's an interesting detail a lot of casual fans don't know. Munich's usual home for massive outdoor concerts is the Olympic Stadium, but that venue is currently under renovation, which is why the city offered up the Allianz Arena, home of FC Bayern Munich, as the alternative stage for major open-air events this summer. That means BTS isn't just making history as the first K-pop act to headline in Munich, they're doing it in one of the most iconic football stadiums in the world, a venue built for tens of thousands of roaring fans, which honestly might be the perfect setting for the kind of energy BTS concerts bring. We're talking about a stadium that can hold up to 75,000 fans in a single night. Multiply that by 2 nights, and you get roughly 150,000 ARMY converging on Munich this weekend alone. If you've ever wondered what it looks like when a city gets completely taken over by a fandom, this weekend is going to be the answer. Let's talk about what actually happens once the lights go down, because the production on this tour has been described by critics as something genuinely special. The stage design for Arirang is built as a full 360-degree setup, meaning there is no bad seat in the house. Whether you're sitting behind the stage, to the side, or directly in front, you are getting the full experience, the full choreography, the full connection with the members. That's a massive technical undertaking for a stadium show, and it's part of why this tour has earned so much critical acclaim along the way, with outlets praising how the group manages to combine massive stadium-scale spectacle with genuinely intimate, culturally rooted moments, something that isn't easy to pull off when you're performing for tens of thousands of people at once. Now here's a fact that always gets ARMY excited, and it's one you should absolutely be watching for tonight and tomorrow night. Every single show on this tour includes a segment fans call DJ Spin That. Basically, One of the members shouts out to the sound engineer. The DJ hits a random song from BTS's massive back catalog of over 200 songs, and the members have to perform it completely unplanned and unrehearsed for that specific show. Sometimes they nail it. Sometimes they hilariously forget the lyrics or fumble the choreography. And honestly, those moments are some of the most beloved clips from this entire tour because they feel so real and unscripted. And here's the part that's especially relevant to today's video. Jimin, along with V, has developed a reputation on this tour for having the sharpest memory when it comes to unexpected choreography. So if that surprise segment lands on an old-school, dance-heavy track tonight in Munich, keep your eyes on Jimin, because odds are he's going to remember every single step. Let's get into the set list itself, because the show is structured in a way that tells a story. The first act leans into high-energy tracks and newer material from the Arirang album, including songs like Hooligan, Aliens, Run BTS, They Don't Know About Us, like Animals, Fake Love, Swim, and Merry-Go-Round. Then the second act shifts gears into a mix of the new album's biggest statements and the group's most iconic hits, things like 2.0, Normal, Not Today, Mic Drop, the FY and Fire mashup, Body to Body, and Idol. From there, the encore typically brings out Come Over, a hidden track originally only available on the deluxe vinyl release of Arirang before it got a proper digital release, plus stadium staples like Butter and Dynamite, on top of that night's surprise songs. What's beautiful about this set list is that it doesn't just celebrate the comeback era, it actually weaves together the entire arc of BTS's career, from their earliest hits to the brand new sound they built after coming back from military service. For a longtime ARMY, that's 15 years of memories condensed into one night. If you're one of the fans who managed to score tickets for tonight or tomorrow, let's go over a few practical details, because Munich's setup has some specifics you'll want to know before you head out. Doors at the Allianz Arena typically open around 2 hours before showtime, with merchandise sales starting even earlier on the esplanade outside the venue, usually around 4 in the afternoon. Given that we're talking about crowds in the tens of thousands, arriving early isn't optional if you want a smooth entry. Expect long queues regardless of how early you get there. Entry into the stadium itself is only possible through the main south entrance and esplanade area, so make sure you know exactly where that is before you leave your hotel. On the topic of what you can bring in, bags larger than A4 size are not allowed inside the stadium, though there are luggage storage lockers available if you need them. Small handheld fans are allowed, which, if you've ever stood in a packed stadium crowd in July, you will absolutely want. Empty foldable water bottles and small cartons up to ½ liter are also permitted, so you can refill once you're inside. And if you're driving in, know that parking around the Allianz Arena has been heavily restricted for the concert dates, with the north bus parking area closed off entirely and organizers strongly recommending public transportation instead, specifically the U6 subway line straight to the Frotmaning station, which drops you right at the arena's doorstep. Now, let's talk about something a little more emotional, because if you've been following this tour with us since Goyang, you know these Arirang shows haven't just been about the set list or the production value. They've been defined by genuinely human moments, and Jimin in particular has become known for them. Back in Brussels at the start of July, Jimin actually stopped the entire showmid performance when he noticed a fan struggling in the crowd, prioritizing that fan's safety over the choreography in front of tens of thousands of people, and that clip spread everywhere within hours. Before that, in Madrid, Jimin gave an emotional speech reflecting on why it took the group so long to bring a show to Spain, a moment that resonated deeply with fans who had waited years for that visit. And most recently in London, fans got an emotional farewell moment from Jimin as that leg of the European tour wrapped up. So heading into Munich, a city BTS has genuinely never performed in before, a lot of ARMY are wondering out loud what kind of moment tonight might bring. Will Jimin address the crowd about what it means to finally reach Germany after 13 years? Will there be another unscripted moment that ends up defining the stop the way Brussels and Madrid did? Nobody can predict these things, and we're not going to pretend we know exactly what's going to happen, but if this tour has taught us anything, it's that Jimin has a habit of turning ordinary tour stops into moments people talk about for years. There's also a broader story happening here that's bigger than just one concert. This tour has already made history in ways that go beyond ticket sales and stadium sizes. Back in May, Bay Area Army organized a coordinated fan project during the Stanford Stadium show, raising the South Korean flag while singing the folk song, Ere Rang, itself during the performance of Body to Body, a moment that captured exactly what this album and this era mean to the fanbase. A celebration of homecoming, resilience, and cultural pride following the members' military service. That same spirit has followed the tour through Asia, North America, and now Europe, and Munich becomes the latest chapter in that story tonight. When you think about it that way, this isn't just another tour stop. It's part of a much larger narrative about a group that came back from a mandatory break most people assumed would either end the group or slow it down significantly, and instead turned it into the biggest, most record-breaking chapter of their career. Let's rewind for a second and talk about just how far this tour has traveled to get to Munich, because the road here has been anything but short. The Arirang World Tour kicked off back in April in Goyang, South Korea, right in the group's home country, before jumping to Tokyo Dome later that same month. From there, across the Pacific for a full run through North America, with stops in Tampa, Las Vegas, El Paso, and Mexico City, before circling back to South Korea for a run of shows in Busan in June that doubled as part of the group's 13th anniversary celebrations. Somewhere in the middle of all that traveling, the members also found time to release an entire wave of Festa content, including the Run BTS 2.0 series and the Merry-Go-Round music video, on top of everything happening on stage. Then the European leg officially began in Madrid in late June, followed by Brussels in early July, then London, and now, finally Munich. If you've been watching this channel through all of it, you already know just how much ground Jimin and the rest of the members have covered to reach the stage tonight. And honestly, that's part of what makes a first-time city like Munich hit differently. This isn't a group easing into a new market. This is a group that has been performing at an absolutely relentless pace for months, and is still bringing full energy to a country they've never even set foot in before. It's also worth mentioning just how much individual recognition Jimin has picked up throughout this era, because it adds another layer to why tonight matters. Earlier this year, Rolling Stone's special issue coverage of the tour specifically highlighted Jimin as BTS's best dancer, a distinction that longtime fans will tell you has never really been in question. But it's always meaningful to see that kind of recognition from major outlets during a comeback era this big. Combine that with the reputation he's built throughout this specific tour for nailing unplanned choreography during the surprise song segments, and you start to understand why so many fans consider a Jimin-heavy night one of the best nights to catch live. Munich, being the group's German debut, is exactly the kind of high-stakes, high-emotion setting where that kind of performance tends to shine even brighter. Let's also talk about the ticket frenzy for a moment, because it tells you everything about how much demand there was for this specific stop. When pre-sale access opened up for Army membership holders, the queue system required your Weverse ID and your Ticketmaster account email to match exactly, and fans were warned weeks in advance to get that sorted before the window opened, because any mismatch would lock you out of the queue entirely. That level of preparation, fans literally double and triple checking their account details weeks ahead of time just for a shot at tickets, tells you how seriously this fanbase was treating the only German stop on the entire tour. And once tickets did go live, they followed the same pattern we've seen across nearly every European and North American date on this run, selling out within hours. Let's also talk numbers for a second, because the scale of what's happening this weekend really is staggering when you break it down. 75,000 fans, potentially, in the stadium tonight. Another crowd of similar size tomorrow night. That's roughly 150,000 people traveling from across Germany, and honestly from across Europe and beyond, converging on one city for one artist. Local hotels near the arena have reported being booked out for the entire weekend, and the surrounding area, including hotels in nearby towns like Oberschleimisheim, have been marketing themselves specifically around BTS concert traffic for weeks. Ticket prices for these shows range from around €88 for seated categories up toward €278 for premium seating, with VIP soundcheck packages priced even higher for fans who wanted an enhanced experience. And despite that price range, tickets moved fast, following the same pattern we've seen at basically every stop on this tour, where European and North American dates sold out within hours of going on sale. So what does all of this actually mean for you if you're watching from home instead of standing in that crowd tonight? It means we're about to get a flood of content over the next 48 hours. Fan-recorded clips, live reactions, possible Weverse updates from the members themselves, and if history repeats itself the way it has all tour long, probably at least one moment that goes viral within hours of the show ending. That's exactly why you want to stay tuned to this channel, because we're going to be tracking every single update coming out of Munich, breaking down what happens on stage, translating any speeches or comments the members make, and putting together a full recap the moment reliable footage and reports start coming in. If Jimin says something memorable tonight, we will have it here. If there's another one of those spontaneous, unscripted moments this tour has become known for, we will have it here too. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today, because there's a lot to take in. Munich marks BTS's first ever performance in Germany, and these 2 nights are the only German dates on the entire Erarang World Tour. The shows are happening at the Allianz Arena because Munich's usual Olympic Stadium is under renovation, giving BTS one of the most iconic football stadiums in the world as their stage instead. The tour itself has become the largest K-pop world tour in history, with 88 shows across 34 cities in 23 countries, and it recently broke a touring record that had been held by the Rolling Stones for 7 years. The stage uses a full 360-degree design, meaning every single seat in that massive stadium gets the full experience. Each night includes an unscripted surprise song segment, and Jimin has built a reputation this tour for having one of the sharpest memories when it comes to pulling off unplanned choreography on the spot. And of course, this tour has been defined again and again by genuinely human, unscripted moments from Jimin specifically, from stopping a show in Brussels to help a fan, to an emotional speech in Madrid, to a farewell moment in London, which has ARMY wondering what Munich might bring tonight. If you learned even one new fact from this video, do us a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel keep making deep dive content like this for every single stop on this tour. And if you haven't already subscribed, now is the perfect time, because we are not slowing down. This tour still has stops ahead of it, and we plan on covering every single one with the same level of detail we just gave you for Munich. Drop a comment down below and let us know, what do you think is going to happen on that Munich stage tonight? Do you think Jimin has another unforgettable moment in him after Brussels, Madrid, and London? Are you hoping for a specific surprise song? Let us know your predictions, and we'll be back very soon with a full recap once the dust settles from these 2 historic nights in Germany. Until then, this is your sign to stay close, because BTS just made history tonight, and you are not going to want to miss what we bring you next. See you in the next video, ARMY.